So that's about the gist of our program. I'm not going to bore you guys with a whole much more, but that's essentially what's going on with San Jose and what we're doing with our CIT program right now. And at this point, as I mentioned before, we work a lot with various groups like NAMI, Bill Wilson, as well as the VA. I'd like to introduce Phil Dopplet from NAMI, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he does with us.
Thank you. Yes, we provide a panel that consists of family members and people having a mental illness to talk to the CIT people that are in training so that they understand from the lived perspective what the police did correctly and what they did incorrectly on the crisis. We also believe that the best crisis to have is the one that doesn't occur. And we believe that is done through education. Therefore, we offer training to both families that have members with a mental illness and to the people that have the mental illness, free training classes, so that they can better understand mental illness, how they can cope with the situation, how they can understand it, how they can work with their mentally ill relatives, how their mentally ill relatives can learn to live a better life. And I brought information about the training classes, which are free, and they're over on one of the tables there to my left and your right. And we would appreciate it if you have a chance, pick one up, take a look at it, and if it sounds interesting, then sign up for it.
Hi there, my name is Lorraine Forrest. I'm with the Bill Wilson Center. And unlike my colleagues, I'm going to stand up because I'm going to see who I'm talking to out there. Anyway, I have 5 minutes to share with you a service that we provide for transitional age youth, and that's youth age 16 to 25 years of age. For the last year, we've been able to do a 24/7 hotline for any youth or family that might be experiencing a crisis, emotional crisis, or a mental health issue. And these youth can be street youth, they can be youth in college, in a dorm, having a difficult time. These can be in families. These are young people coming out of urgent care, EPS, because they need to have a support system once a crisis occurs. Ideally, we'd like to prevent crises, but the reality is that they do happen. And I'll give you an example. We served a little bit over 1,000 youth in our drop-in center last year, and 65% of them had an Axis 1 diagnosis. We were able to hook them up with a safety network throughout the community to ensure that they either had a place to stay,
What
or
is
they
an
had
Axis
food,
1?
or they had access to mental health services. The 24/7 Tayline.
Explain what Axis 1 and 2 are.
Oh, they had a diagnosis of a mental illness, bipolar, depression, schizophrenia, anxiety disorder. They had some kind of mental health condition. Sorry about that. But anyway, the TAY service that we provide is a mobile service. If a young person, again, age 16 to 25, is experiencing a mental health crisis, they can call this number, 408-850-6140, and I have brochures in the back. Actually, we do have some of the kids themselves call, but generally it's somebody that cares about them that calls and says, my child, my friend, my boyfriend is having a difficult time, can someone come and help us? We're able, within an hour's time, to send out a mental health practitioner to evaluate, assess, and determine whether that young person needs to come back to our drop-in center, which is 24/7. If they're younger, go to our licensed shelter, or if they need even more intense services, we would then call on the police to give us some assistance. We're not at this time able to do 5150s ourselves because of the hold that's being held up on that. But if we do need that service, we know that we can count on the police department. We've worked with 123 youth in the last year that required our assistance, and we're looking forward to being able to continue this service, and at some point be able to provide some assistance to the various police departments as well. All the information about what we do is in the back table, including how we're able to house some of these young people. In fact, we're working with Bob on permanent housing, where we have a share of our houses that will go to youth that are that have mental health issues. So any questions, please write them down. I hope you do have some.
I know that you're not supposed to ask a question, but I'm going to do a plug because you probably won't. They're a nonprofit organization, and you can donate. We just sponsored one of their children for Christmas this year.
Oh, thank you.
So now the chief can't say that I did, and I apologize for that.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
And one of the housing projects that she's talking about is, will be opening up in July, where we'll be able to house homeless youth as well as 7 youth in that age range, permanent housing.
Can we give Lorraine a big hand and the rest of our panelists? Well, we know where to donate if they have a few bucks. Now I'd like to take a moment to ask Chief No, would you like to make any commentary? You're new and I'd like people to get to know you, so I'm going to give you a few minutes and put you on the spot.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and your organization and everyone here in the audience for participating in this very important meeting. Pat was very eloquent in stating that this is an issue that has been ongoing between law enforcement and the community. And it's an issue that we will still continue to have to work together to address. We had several incidents here in our city involving Vietnamese American community members that were unfortunate incidents between the police department and members of our Vietnamese American community. And it's encouraging to see everyone here participating in this meeting. And I look forward to more meetings like this to reach a wider audience of residents in our San Jose, because together we have to work on this issue in order to prevent future crises. And I absolutely agree with you that we shouldn't wait to have a crisis to formulate a plan. We should formulate a plan to prevent future crises. And thank you very much for having me here.
For those of you who came in late, we have a parking validation machine back there after the meeting, and also literature after the meeting. But we do have water and some candy in the back if you're thirsty or need a sugar high, help yourself. And we have literature from all these wonderful organizations. We really need your help to get the word out to people in trouble. Mental illness is something that people are ashamed of, embarrassed of, and I'm telling you, we need to reach those people so that they don't have to be in front of an officer with a gun. It's our responsibility to help these people get the services they need so that the police don't have to. So again, I want to introduce now Jorge Wong, Dr. Jorge Wong from Aki. We really love Aki. Big hand for Aki.
Thank you very much. Aki is also a nonprofit, so you want to give us money. How many people here, I'm actually Jorge Wong, the Director of Behavioral Health Services at Aki. I was wondering, how many people here speak a second language besides English? Right. And you guys think you speak pretty well that language? So here's a test for you. Can you translate for me major depression, chronic, moderate, acute, and also of a melancholic type in your language? There's no way that you can do that. And the reason I'm asking you is because Santa Clara County actually has many different people that speak many different languages, many different types of refugees and new immigrants to come into our county. Mental health all over the world is not something that is quite accepted. It is quite stigmatized because even in our languages, it's really difficult to find the accurate wording to even describe that. Even for individuals who have been here the longest, the Native American or the American Indians, there's no language that actually describes that, right? And the terminology that the health providers use oftentimes does not jive, does not actually describe accurately what individuals go through. The point I'm trying to get is that mental illness is quite stigmatized, is quite misunderstood by a lot of people. And I can tell you that most individuals from other places don't see mental illness as something that is connected with your overall health. It has been difficult even for professionals like us in the mental health field to convince our partners in the primary health care that mental illness also affects a lot of their healthcare providing services. It's difficult now to even integrate those services. And the only reason we actually are doing it is because there's money. The government is changing healthcare to where mental health services are actually being provided through primary healthcare. So there's a huge movement in how to redesign our healthcare services too. The other thing that most people don't understand is that mental illness or psychiatric conditions are treatable. It's not only through medication, but also can be done through talking to people. And oftentimes, a lot of individuals from different cultures always ask, why is talking useful? Now, if I were to ask you, when you guys have a problem, do you guys talk to people that you trust? Is that correct, I would say? And oftentimes, if you talk with them, you feel better. The question is, can you go back to the same person day in, day out, talk about the same issue, so that you need a little details and actually the most heavy-duty issues day in, day out? Most likely not. People, friends, families, they get tired of you guys. They say, go away, I don't want to talk to you. They see me coming, they run the other way.
Yeah.
Mental health professionals are people who are very kind, I would say. They're very gracious and they're passionate about helping, hearing what people are suffering or having issues with, and offering them suggestions, offering them solutions. And we are able to do that in a much more objective way because we really are not related to you. We're not in the same circle of stress that you are individually in, and we can offer and bring resources from the outside. So that's one way of looking at what mental health services, what mental health professionals are. Everybody's been sharing statistics, so I'll throw out some statistics. Some statistics say that within the general population, about 30% of people in the population suffer of one way or another of a mental illness. That's 1 in 3, so a third of us in here may have a diagnosable mental illness. The question is the mental illness mild, moderate, or severe? That's the major question. For example, have anybody here have had a fight with a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, and they get really, really upset, and they go out and get depressed because of that, right? Sometimes things go away, sometimes things persist. How about other times when you may not have eaten, or actually you eat something, or you take some medication or drug and have an interaction and you start seeing things or talking to people? No one has done that. Has anybody here stayed up for 3 days straight partying? I can share with you that I would not consider myself a severely mentally ill person, but when I was writing my dissertation, I stayed up for 3 days working on it. A lot of coffee, no sleep, I started to see things. Right? So someone would say, you have a diagnosable mental illness, but it was due because of coffee and lack of sleep. It's not because of something else. So I could have talked to somebody, I could actually go out and get services, and also decided that I needed some sleep. So a lot of times, common sense intervention actually work. But oftentimes, if we are involved in that situation, it's hard for us to see it. So I would encourage you guys to kind of see mental illness as a form of healthcare condition that can be actually treated. Mental health providers are healthcare providers. They can help you. And if you don't know the resources, they can actually connect you to not only medication, but also primary healthcare services, and also educate us to how to decrease a lot of the stressful situations that are causing you to feel kind of sad. Another thing that I'm actually very happy to hear about, and Pat mentioned, is like the Mental Health Services Act has provided money for the police department to actually develop a lot of these CIT training tapes. And the police department has actually worked with a lot of community organizations in regards to how to best develop strategies to not really use force when dealing with individuals with mental illness. So I think the department should get a lot of props for that, and we definitely do support it. And actually has myself on the panel that kind of helps them to review whether some of the training tapes that they're developing seems to be culturally competent. And I know there's a lot of people in the audience here who are from the Ethnic Culture Community Advisory Committee from the Department of Mental Health. We're also part of that, so that ensuring that all the communities in our county actually get served. The other thing I also wanted to talk to you about is that one of the major challenges about training